All right. Hi, guys. I hope that you're doing well today. Tomorrow, you're going to be working on long division. I want to make sure to leave a video going over with it. I'm going to try to color code everything as best as I can and walk you guys through the process. We're on 13.3, question number 2. And what we're trying to do is determine if x plus 3 goes evenly into this polynomial over here. This is x cubed minus 3x squared minus 13x plus 15. And we're dividing this by x plus 3. And what we need to do is we have to try to cancel out the first term. So what do? We have to multiply x by something to get rid of x cubed. So what are we going to multiply it by? We're going to multiply by x squared. So we get x cubed plus 3x squared. We multiply it by each of these two terms here, and that's going to give us x cubed plus 3x squared. But the thing is, we need to subtract this. We need to subtract each of these. So we're going to change both of these terms' signs. This is going to be negative. This is also going to be negative, and then we're going to add them up and down. So the x cubes cancel, and you're left with negative 3x squared minus 3x squared, which is negative 6x squared. You bring down the negative 13x, and then you do the same thing once again. We need to now multiply x by something to give us negative 6x squared. And that's going to be negative 6x. If we multiply negative 6x times that, it's going to give us negative 6x squared. Negative 6x times 3 is going to give us negative 12x. And then what's going to end up happening is we're going to have to, times 3. Times 3 is going to give us negative 18, excuse me. And then what we have to do is we have to go and change both of these signs. So we have to go through and subtract both of these, which means we're going to have to distribute the negative, and they all become positive. So now when we do it, it's going to cancel, and we're going to have 18 minus 13x, which is 5x. And then we bring down the same thing, the 15 here, and we do it once again. What do we multiply x by to get 5x? And so what are we going to end up doing here? We're going to have to multiply by 5. So plus 5, 5 times x is 5x squared. 5 times 3 is 15. And we have to change both of these signs. We have to subtract them both. So we're going to go through and subtract. And when we do it, we get 0 and 0, which means it's going to be a factor. X plus 3 is a factor, and we can rewrite it as x plus 3, x squared minus 6x plus 5. Okay. And then what we're left with is we have to factor the second term to find the zeros, and we're going to get x minus a number and x minus a number. Why? We need two numbers that multiply to negative 5 or positive 5 and add to negative 6, so they both have to be negative. And so what two numbers multiply to give us 5? Negative 5 and negative 1. And so that's it. So we have 3 zeros there. Okay. On this last part, we have this thing called the missing number. What do you have to do in this section? You have to go through and you have to factor it. The same thing. I'm not super concerned about this problem. You'd have to go through and divide by each of these. So I'll walk you guys through one of these, but it's the same sort of idea. We'll do number 5. You have to go through and you have to divide this by one of these terms. You can pick whichever one you want, and then afterwards you have to factor the next part. I guess maybe factoring the first part would be easier, but let's go through and try dividing. We have 6x cubed plus 2x squared minus 16x plus 8. And we're trying to divide this by x minus 1. So I need to multiply x by something to give me 6x cubed, which is going to be, in this case, it's going to be 6x squared. So I get 6x cubed minus 6x squared, and I have to change both of these signs. I have to go ahead and change them. So all of them are going to change signs, positive, negative, positive. These cancel, and I'm left with 8x squared minus 16x. Okay, I need to multiply x by something to give me 8x squared. So what do I have to multiply by? I have to multiply by 8x plus 8x. Okay, when I multiply this, 8x times x is 8x squared. 8x times negative 1 is negative 8x, and I have to subtract this. When I subtract, I have to distribute that sign. And so I'm going to have a negative and then a positive afterwards. And so what ends up happening is this cancels, and then I'm left with negative 8x plus 8. Okay, and then I go back and do it once again. So now I need to multiply x by something to get negative 8, which is going to be negative 8. So I get negative 8x plus 8, and I have to change all of these signs. So when I distribute the negative, it becomes positive. And when I distribute the negative, it becomes a negative. And then I add straight up and down, and everything does in fact cancel. So what does that mean? I'm going to be left with x minus 1 times 6x squared plus 8x minus 8. Okay? Now I know on this I'm going to have 2x plus 4 as one of the factors. And now I have to figure out what the other factor is going to be. So I need two numbers that multiply to 6x squared. I already have 2x, so I know the other one's going to have to be 3x. Okay? I need this 4 times something to give me negative 8. It's going to have to be negative 2. When I distribute, if I want to check this, all I have to do is 2x times 3x is going to give me 6x squared. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. 4 times 3x is going to give me 12x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. When I add the middle terms together, I get 6x squared plus 8x minus 8, which does in fact work. Okay, you do not have to go through and do that fourth section. We are going to be working on the worksheet that I give you guys in class. This worksheet looks like the following. If I'm going too fast at any point, feel free to pause. I'm going to go through number 1 and 6. You guys need to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. And you guys are going to try to knock those out. Do you have to factor everything out at the very end? No, you're just going to divide. And if it doesn't go into it evenly, then you're going to write it over as a fraction, okay? So what you do is you set up division, and then you're going to do the same thing. X times what gives me 3x to the 4th? 3x to the 3rd. When I distribute, it's going to give me 3x to the 4th. If I distribute, I'm going to get 6x to the 3rd. And I'm going to have to subtract this. Okay? When I distribute, I'm going to get a negative and a negative, which then cancels, and then I get x cubed. 7x cubed minus 6x cubed. Then I bring down my 3x squared. Okay? What do I multiply x by to get x cubed? It's going to have to be x squared plus x squared. So when I do this, I'm going to get x cubed and then 2x squared. But I have to remember to subtract and then change all of my signs. So I'm going to distribute the negative. Both of these are then going to become negative. And when I do it, it cancels, and then I'm left with 1x squared. And I bring down my minus x. And I do the same thing again. What two numbers multiply to give me x squared? Well, it's going to be positive x. And when I distribute, I'm going to get x squared and then 2x. Okay? And then once I do this, I have to remember I'm going to have to subtract. Okay? And then when I do it, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to get this to cancel. And when I do it, I'm going to get to distribute the negative. And I'm going to get 0 minus 3x. And I bring down the negative 4. And then I have to multiply x plus 2 by something to cancel out the 3x, which is going to have to be negative 3. And when I do it, I'm going to get negative 3x minus 6. And I have to subtract both of these values. When I do so, both of these become positives. And I end up getting 0 minus plus 2. And this is called a remainder. If you get a remainder, that means that x plus 2 is not a factor. Okay? So we're left with a remainder, and the remainder is going to look like this. It's going to be plus 2, whatever's left over the divisor. This is the remainder. Okay? All right, I'm going to go through one more with you guys, and then I'll link another video in case you're still having issues with it. That one won't be made by me. But this is our last problem. We're going to try out number 6. We're going to see if it goes into it evenly, and if it doesn't, write your answer as a fraction. Okay? So if there's a remainder, we're going to leave it. Since this is a 19 and this is a 5, we're going to have a remainder at the end of it, because 5 will not go into 19 evenly. But we're going to go try our best to do this. So we need to multiply x by something to give us x to the 4th, which is x cubed. So we're going to get x to the 4th minus 5x cubed. And we have to make sure to switch our signs. So we're going to switch both these signs to a negative and then a positive. And we end up getting 5 minus x cubed. And so we're going to get 4x cubed. Bring down the 19. Then we're going to do it again. We need to multiply x by something to get 4x cubed. So it's going to be plus 4x squared. And when we distribute, you get 4x cubed. And then negative 20x squared. Okay? And when we distribute, we're going to get a negative and then a positive. And so what happens is we get 0 and then x squared. And then you bring down your negative 3x. Okay? And then we keep going back at this. We do it again. And we're going to get x times what? It's going to give me x squared. X. So you get x squared. And then you get negative 5x. But you have to switch the signs. So when we go through to switch the signs, we get a negative and then a positive. And so we end up getting 2x, bring down the negative 19. And we have to then multiply x by something to get 2x. So it's going to be 2. So you get 2x minus 10. And we have to change these signs and subtract it. So when we do it, we get a negative and a positive. And then we're left with negative 9. This is called the remainder. So we're going to have minus 9 over x minus 5. This is the remainder. Okay? And that's it. You don't have to go any further than that. This is long division of polynomials. If you need any more help on it, please check one of the 2 videos that are posted. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.